Hi everybody, happy Monday to you. Happy new week to everybody. Welcome to The Conversation. That's right, The Conversation, the show that you love. And you know what? I want to just start off today's show by saying a huge thank you to everyone who continues to watch, who continue to anticipate the topics and the shows. And in fact, you all are calling for a 5-day-a-week show, 5 days. But I want you all to understand, just in a little, sometimes when you're trying to work stuff out and you're sort of in the interim, it's not as though I were with an official station. And so because it's a social media show just for now, I'm just kind of sort of figuring things out. But certainly Mondays and Wednesdays, we are live here. This remains the best, most researched, most opinionated, most analytical panel you will find anywhere on the biggest news stories in the country, around the region, and internationally. I am convinced of that, and they are doing so incredibly that day. Every Monday, I look forward to hearing what they have to say. But again, a big thank you to all of you who, wherever you see me, in fact, you even contact the panelists and the others who are also regulars on the show, and you tell them you want to see more of the conversation, and you are anticipating the next step. And of course, I'll keep you in touch on what the next step is. But listen, welcome to the show. There's a lot in the news. Whoa, this has been one weekend, eh?
Wow, everything is happening all at once. I think the news is picking up. I don't know if it is because of campaign 2022 has begun,
yes,
but everything is just happening, and it's like we're living a soap opera. Tyler Perry needs to just tap into this.
Tyler Perry, in fact, I'll just call him after the show. How about that? If I had his contact, wait a minute. But guys, what are your thoughts? Like, really, is it too early for campaign 2022?
Personally, I'm just sick and tired of politics and politicking. When are we going to run our country and get to the level of helping people that need help in this country? We're worse than what's happening in the U.S. and Donald Trump. From since he took office, he's been campaigning. So I think it's just too early for us to start politicking. I think we should wait 12 months out, not 2 years in.
Because then, and you made a great point, and Glenn, I know you'll jump in a second, but I love the point you made, because then when is the work of the people, the business of the country being done? When is that happening? It's now so focused on winning in 2022 that a lot of things aren't getting done. Or is it, Glenroy, that because, let's say the government, for example, is so focused on winning in 2022 that more will get done?
Well, definitely the pressure is on them now, because they actually led it over the gate. And so definitely they have now responsibility, if they want to become the next governing party, to maintain their stance and to maintain whatever the promises were and to make it happen. As it relates to being too early, I'm on the fence with it. I don't like the fact that it is, because it kind of causes the country to be in a place for the next 2 years. And we know how colorful we get. We become blinded by colors.
Yeah.
And that sometimes is an unfortunate reality. But the truth is that will always remain, because we're always divided in our thoughts and ideas, because we are people. The challenge is for us to be mature about it and not argue over silly stuff, and recognize that you may have a differing view of how we should get things done. But the reality is that I still should respect your views and not downgrade or degrade you because of it.
That's very important, and I don't mean to sort of start the show here. We'll have an official start in a second, but I like that. Let us all, in this crazy season, as it's often referred to, learn to respect each other's opinions that may differ from the ones that we hold. In the Bahamas, we have a tendency to want to vilify and want to just call all kinds of names about, oh, Carrie, no, you real stupid. No, that don't make no sense. Oh, you're stupid for supporting that person. Or you're wearing this color? How idiotic. No, respect the person's choice. And that's mature.
We don't respect the individual, their opinions. We don't respect them as individuals. We attack them, their person, instead of attacking their ideology or the policy that they might spew. And when you start too early, it causes the country to become too divisive.
Yes.
And as a result, the homogeneous plans that were in place to carry the country forward, with PLPs, DNAs, FNMs on board, stops at this point. Because if you don't start what happens is that then you'll be aiding for the current government, or if you're against the current government, you'll be aiding for the PLP or the DNA, and it doesn't lend to progression.
But you know, Shenique, I look at it in a different way, and probably being a little bit over optimistic. I know that during the campaign season, the people are the commodity, and everybody is running around trying to please people to win over that precious
But you know,
one vote.
Peggy, I hate that.
Yes, but I'm hoping that this work out best for the people, because for 2 years you're going to have several
People
groups of
supporting you, right? Yeah, like so what you need? Well, you know, I need that little stove and fridge.
well, not on a personal level, but I'm hoping that on a
Come on now,
community
these are
level.
Bahamians we talk about. They remember the community park and the fact that the park, that the sidewalk is awful and cracked up. They saying, my son need to get back to school. We need, I need that little thing. This one, and see, Bahamians be cheap. Bahamians, I'm not saying you don't win. I'm saying though, don't cheapen your vote. You see what cheapening your vote has gotten you so far. But we'll get into that when we get into some political topics a little bit later. But guys, I want to say this. I don't know about you, and I still, arguably, I can say this, and if I'm wrong, guys, please correct me. I think still the majority of Bahamians are Laker fans. And Kobe Bryant really hit all of us hard, whether you were a fan or whether you just admired the sport or certainly just admired some players. And he was someone who stood out for work ethic, for just his commitment, his zest and zeal for the game. And we all know what happened a few weeks back. But I'll tell you what felt like salve to a raw wound. Buddy Hield, guys. This weekend, kudos to you, Buddy Hield. Buddy Hield is the 2020 NBA All-Star three-point champion. How incredible. Listen, that was just really fantastic, eh? And of course, Buddy Hield is from the Sacramento Kings. Just want y'all to know that I paid attention. Got that. But Buddy, we salute you. We are, Glenn Wright and you will be still. We salute you. We are so happy for you. You all, did it mean the same thing for y'all? I just felt like after the whole Kobe thing, it was Buddy almost like Bahamas here. Here's a gift.
Yes, and in the 242 Pride, always he's doing an excellent job, and he's up with the great,
his demeanor, his everything.
Yes. And then one of the things that moved me, I saw his family in a photo, and I felt that pride and that sense of accomplishment. And so we as Bahamians, we are so proud of you, and we're behind you, and we're just pushing you on, and congratulations to you and your family.
And it speaks volume for our family, and especially our nation's second city, Freeport Grandmama, and knowing that Buddy Hield came out of Grand Bahama, and the discipline you have for sports enthusiastic athletes who are coming out of Grand Bahama, just to encourage, especially those from 8 Mile Rock and in that vicinity, how Grand Bahama was devastated with the hurricane. So it actually encourages them, we can get back into the game, and we can excel and become just as successful as Buddy Hield.
Get back into the game of life.
Especially when you consider the realities of the devastation, and because he alluded to the persons of Dorian, and he referenced that this one is for the Dorian victims. The fact that he came from an impoverished scenario, and he worked himself up to the way he is today. And so that's a testament of exactly where we all can see the country can go after having experienced such a major devastation. And I just want to say congratulations to Buddy Hield, and I like the example that he's setting right now. I just pray that he continues to remain focused and remember, where he came from, in the sense that, the Bahamian people support him, love him, and that, don't slip up. Focus. Because we know what's happening in certain places, and sometimes, they love you today, but they can switch on you tomorrow. So you've got to make sure, maintain your integrity, and make sure, maintain your stance. We support you, we love you, and we're looking forward for great things from you, because we know that you're going to explode. Speaking
of international, what's making news internationally, and I should not even bring this afterward, because Buddy, what you did this weekend was just fantastic and incredible. But let's move over to the next story making news internationally, and that is the Nygard saga. There are allegations of rape and corruption and it is scathing. You all, if you've been reading the articles, if you've seen the court documents, absolutely scathing of what is going on and what is being alleged. In fact, in the papers today, Fred Mitchell is saying, listen, hold up, y'all, hold up. First of all, here in the Tribune's headline, he says, it's a salacious story against the PLP and there's no truth. Another story, whether it's the Tribune or the Guardian, not sure, I think the Tribune, he said, listen, take all that right there with a grain of salt. But guys, let's kind of look at what it is. Allegations are being flung left, right, and center. This obviously investigation sort of carried on for a long while. I love my technical crew on it. Let me tell you who this is. This is Cara Ellis, Brandon Roll. Listen, this technical crew has, you see, I know, right? You see Mr. Nygard, of course, we don't know, he's just could be a picture of him attending an event. And so these are more than likely not the ladies, want to say that, but he's somebody who's all philanthropic as well. Very philanthropic and also gives to a lot of different causes. But in this instance, we're talking about the fact, Troy, that allegations are going that Nygard would have raped or somehow assaulted 10 women, 9 of whom are Bahamians. And the allegations that come into it from human waste, being involved in the sexual acts, intimidation tactics, huge payoffs. I guess many people on the payroll, these girls in particular, and these girls as young as 15, perhaps even slightly younger, but we saw 15 in the documents, as young as 15 were courted from being in the mall, walking around, and allegedly people on his payroll going after them and saying, hey, come in, you want to model? Let me take you where you can model. And it all started from there. There are allegations of perhaps being drugged, and that this is how the sexual acts happened, and they continued for some time, just scathing.
Go ahead.
Shenique, ever since the Me Too movement started in the United States, I think the female gender has become emboldened in the sense that they become more open and revealing of abuses that would have happened to them in their past, and especially with rich white men, rich black men, persons on the higher echelon class as it relates to economics. And like when you look at Harvey, is his name Harvey Weinstein?
Yes. And
you saw one of the black. But anyway, I'm not too sure if it is not too far away from what the allegations are saying about Nygard, because we have seen in the past that rich men have abused their power and their position and taken advantage of the most vulnerable. And so I am not too, I think there's some truth to what is happening here.
Shenique, I'm surprised that people seem, I don't know if it's a pretense, surprised at this story, because for many years we have heard of stories of this taking place on this key. Of young women from over the hill and poor communities being bused to this island as entertainment. I've heard of stories where their pictures were taken once they arrived to the island, and that they was made to sign or required to sign a
non-disclosure
agreement for privacy to protect whomever was on the island. There is a concern about the age factor, but there were females who knowingly went into the situation for money. Yes. And he said for commercial sex. And so it was like a prostitution ring. And so I'm surprised, even had the Minister of National Security's position on it. Like, this is new information. If it is heard on the ground, if they say the streets talk it, police run the streets, the police on the streets, police live on these streets. And I don't think I think it is now a matter of embarrassment.
It's hugely embarrassing.
Yes, and so it puts the question not only the corruption in our land, because the allegation involved politicians at the top level,
Police officers,
senior
police officers, immigration officers.
the works. And so,
No, pardon me, customs officers.
Custom officers.
Yeah.
And so the works of it are being viewed or exposed is the word I should be using in a very negative light. But this is not new information. I remember in 2012 when those videos and pictures were released after the election, when senior PLP officials were newly
Elected?
Right.
yeah, newly elected. And they
Correct,
would just
yeah.
launch off, they look comfortable, they look at home. And then I remember the video where Mr. Nygard himself was saying that we got our country back and boasting of his involvement in winning the election, contributing to the election. And so I think now we all have to look in the mirror collectively as a
Because
country.
we appear to be a country for sale where any buck up goes if
Yes.
you have enough money.
Yes,
And that is how it's being painted internationally. It's an ugly picture.
And it is an ugly allegation, but it has been some young women, ugly reality. And sadly, poverty plays a major role in them being victims enticed into this lifestyle to become. There was also a story of a young girl, I remember crying out, saying that she was being held against a will.
On the key.
Yes. And all of these things. And so if I'm saying, as a person who just follows social media or read newspaper, I'm aware of it, I'm sure the authorities were with it, and I'm so
But
glad.
Peggy, you listen to me. Lord, I tell you. Peggy said she's sure the authorities were.
Yes.
Peggy, if we could have heard the streets talking from decades ago about what takes place there, or what took place there rather, and the fact that, you know, those wild parties and those sex parties and this and that and all the various allegations being made, then those allegations reached every quarter.
Yes. And so now what is going to take? Every time we need action taken in this country, we're going to have to be exposed to international embarrassment.
Do you think that was intentional then, to file in a New York court? Because figuring nothing would happen here if it was brought here.
You remember Nygard has been skipping down for quite some time with our local courts. And as a result of him being in the U.S., now I think it's just caught up with him as a result of his alleged behavior. And I think they can be more, especially the New York district, they can be more aggressive in actually pursuing alleged corruption or alleged criminal activities, especially with persons of his status. And remember, there is a saying that when the United States sneeze, the Bahamas catch a cold. So I am really not surprised of what's going on here in the Bahamas as a result of what's going on in the United States with high-level officials.
Well, the thing is also, Glenroy, what was being said also is that it involves non-Bahamians as well, perhaps Americans, and this would made it now or an international case. And so maybe that's how it got into that New York court.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that we hear things happening doesn't give the right of the police officers to go and snoop around. Unless an official complaint is made, then they have the authority to go ahead and do their jobs and find out where all the stuff is coming from. I think from that perspective, we all heard about things, but no official complaint has ever registered as I know of. And so now we see an official complaint in a court system and illegal proceedings, and now we have more teeth to investigate such matters. And now people may be more apt to be open and honest about their experiences in this environment. The other challenge is that obviously there are so many things to this story and so many layers. And I heard some people are saying, oh, the F&M coordinated this with Bacon to make this happen. So my question is, if that is in fact the case, then is the F&M government dictating to U.S. government, which means that they have that much clout? I think not. Which also means that if the U.S. government is interested in finding out the facts and highlighting and having the names of former politicians and stuff called, are they saying something indirectly about these politicians that they know that they haven't revealed to the Bahamian public? So there's a lot of different questions here, because then that tells you that something is up. And so the reality of it is, we have to recognize these things for what they are. And to be associated with such individuals is an indictment on us as a people. And the fact that when you look at this fellow was associated with the fellow who just hung himself in the prison. Epstein.
Jeffrey Epstein.
And the other guy, the Prince, is also having been stayed at this property.
Yeah.
We also have, the Prince and Trump. All these guys are all friends, and they are all at some point hung out together. And so when we're talking about our country, we for far too long have been bowing to the dollar bill that comes here. Not because somebody's rich means that their morals are of impeccable standard. We have to recognize that for what it is and stop bowing to the mighty dollar.
How you can, it's like last week's conversation. How can you legislate people who want to lay on their back because this man is super rich and can give them $5,000 a month or a week? How is it that some of these 15-year-old girls went looking for a man?
Yeah, but understand this point. In poverty, it breeds all sorts of opportunities for people and people that are taken advantage of. We can't blame the victims. And see, this is where we may dilute the realities of the beasts that are at our doorsteps. When we reduce somebody's experience because of them looking for it, these children are children. They don't have the mindset to understand their actions. And that's why we have laws to protect children, because they can be manipulated.
So then what about the allegations, guys, made when it says law enforcement officers close their eyes to certain things? Or perhaps, well, like, listen here, go shopping.
This case, I don't think this is a criminal case, actually. This is a civil suit. And you remember that the United States is...
Yeah, because I think the statute of limitations...
Right.
Yeah.
The United States is one of the most litigious society. And so any perceived wrongdoing, people will take to the court to sue other persons for monetary gains. And saying that Nygard is a person of interest who have a lot of money in his pocket is deep. As a result, you'll have several persons going after him who might have felt
so
that
you think he is just obviously being targeted because of his wealth?
Oh, yeah, that's one of the reasons, but the other reason can be of his actions as well.
But I want to interject something because you guys said that the statute of limitation probably is passed, but in the editorial, the Tribune editorial, it said that 6 rape allegations were made against Nygard in the Bahamas last year.
So you see that? And so for the Minister of National Security, who was in private life, well, no, last year.
He
was Minister of National Security.
Yes, last year.
But so last year those 6 charges were filed, and all of the ladies
that said they were allegedly raped by Mr. Nygard, and they were under the age of 16, which is the age of consent in this country, which needs to be
so
passed.
Where was that? Where are those charges in the court? Where are those allegations? Where do they stand? In the Bahamian court.
Yeah.
I haven't heard anything reported in our dailies or in our news.
But doesn't mean that it isn't in the system. It might be in the system.
Yeah, but I'm saying why act like it's fresh news? Why act like, you see, I'm saying now that it's international courts, our Minister of National Security say, these allegations needs to be investigated, these claims. But there are claims by 6 young Bahamian women who said, we were not 16, which is the age of consent in this country, and we had were assaulted or sexually abused by this same gentleman. And so I'm saying, that is why I say there is a pretense.
Potential pretense.
No, there is a
potential.
You say potential.
What's potential about it, Glenn?
What is potential?
Let me explain.
Because if this is in the courts, Glenn Roy, and if this is already in the courts, if this has already been made a report by these 6 young women, there must be some kind of awareness from our police officers, not naturally the national.
But not acknowledging it doesn't mean that they're not aware, not investigating. You got to understand. Sometimes they don't reveal all the things to us right away, because sometimes if you do so, you may compromise the case.
Investigation takes years.
No, but you may compromise your case by
and that's what I'm saying. I'm sure this investigation that's now before the New York court system took years as well. But the point about it is the Minister of National Security says they now have a duty, the Royal Bahamas Police Force, to go and investigate these allegations that transpired here in the Bahamas. He also talked about the fact that, questions were put in the article I read. Well, can the police force investigate itself?
And he said yes.
They do it. I mean, when I work in the military, I work in military intelligence, and Peggy also, you were there. So
you can just pull me right out.
Yes. So as a result, we did internal investigation, and if the evidence was heavy enough, either we dealt with matters within house or we sent it on to the police department.
Yeah.
And I know Glenroy said something earlier about the police having a right to investigate. A lot of times it don't necessarily have to be investigation. You have intelligence officer, you have intelligence-led gathering information to the point as if a criminal activity might have happened, then it will go into an investigation.
Yeah, but you know what also...
And so that no charge need to be levied if there's investigation or, I mean, they pull you over and say, we suspect.
Right. Mm.
Well, I'll tell you, Kevin Moss, 1 second, Glenroy. Kevin Moss on the live feed, by the way. Hello, social media audience. Please share the video. Please comment, participate. I will get to as many comments as possible. I'm not commenting under my name, so here it goes. Kevin Moss says, Mom, this is nothing new. This has been happening in these hotels for years. These people like to play like they don't know what's going on. They know what's going on.
Even open to the place where I wouldn't call it, one place where you might, frequent. I heard a lot of persons, cases of persons, even wives, not wives, husbands, really, well, their wives and girlfriends and significant others actually sell their self out for just the dollar.
And to the casino bosses.
Not even the casinos. I don't. When you have persons coming into the country and they staying over in a certain part of that property.
Well, listen, humans are, not everybody has high moral standards. However, though, I don't want us to miss the essence of this, because I think what happens in painting this brush of, oh, they're looking for it, or this thing and the next thing. We have Bahamian young girls who are alleging rape. That means that they were taken advantage of.
Those are allegations to take very seriously.
And so from that perspective, I believe that we don't want to minimize. And the fact that the statement that, oh, this has been going on, we act like nothing new. Yeah, this is new, because this is something that has, to this point, many Bahamians heard the stories, but none of us knew
official
that we saw anything in the court system.
There have been Bahamians employed or contracted to get these young girls over there. And I didn't say allegedly with that.
Well, that's the part that, that's the part that I
want to but people talk. For example, people have spoken to Peggy. People have spoken to many people around this town about what goes on there.
I agree, but that's the part I want to focus on.
Some of the parties, women who willingly went to some of the parties over the week. It's interesting when people see you on these type shows, they tell you all kind of weird stuff. But people who say, oh yeah, I went to one of them, oh yeah, this happened.
Yeah, I've heard the stories.
That's what I'm saying. This is not something new. But I'm going to say this as a cautionary note to politicians on both sides. Nobody wins. Nobody wins from this story. And so I've seen memes now attacking the F&M role in it. I've seen F&M saying, well, the PLP, nobody wins because the nastiness.
Because and the young girls now walk around tarnished, totally destroyed, absolutely used, and ashamed, and in a different frame of mind. You notice to have somebody put waste on you, or have you waste on them, you drugged, or however it is that you're doing, or perhaps just enticed by the money, whatever it is you were enticed by at the time of 15 years old, that you knew no different, but this is what you were made to do and participate in. It is really just very ugly, and for the fact that authorities knew it, and let's just talk, and try and let you talk, because I also want to focus on this. By the way, hello to Sonia Foster in Florida. Hello to you, Patrice Davis. Good afternoon to you. Everybody who's watching. Hello to Ellington Ferguson. Hello, Ellie Ferguson. How are you doing? Thank you. Hello, Del King. Everybody who's watching. Glendina Saunders. Big hello to you all. Let's not when Troy with his point, let's just shift into the other little foolishness going on, because if you talk to a lot of these shipping companies and other people who import things on a regular basis, they'll tell you of the trying times to get something here on this island. When you, as a customs officer, allegedly are going to waive a big 747 jet and its contents, that is also saying something about this little country that had the reputation for decades as being one for sale. You got enough money? Buy your way in. Yes, Troy?
Well, all I wanted to say is that when you talk about young people under the age of 16 who can't even give consent, the thing is, we can't even say when they're looking for that, because if they cannot give consent, and if they think that, you know what, if I can meet this person, I can become what we call a good model, I can have an advance in. They didn't go there with the expectation I gotta lay down on my back to
Correct.
get. Whether we might
Yeah, but Troy, now hold on. Let's
No,
pause.
no.
Glenroy, 1 second. My thing about it is, if I hear I can go wherever it is and be a model, I must also hear, but boy, you might get it on your knees. Shenique, they
Yeah,
may
but
want
you may not hear
wait a
that.
minute. You may want on Shenique, now you may have to do 1 or 2 little things, and what the things is get on your knees and be praying. We ain't talking about praying. Be praying. But you have to get on your knees. This is no secret. This was the biggest open game in town for decades. And so, 1 second, guys. And so the thing is, this was the biggest game in town for decades, and we know that. We know the extremely wild parties and what took place at these parties and what was expected from you at these parties and whatever took place. And so the thing is, if you invite me over and I want to go, somebody's shirt and flipping toe.
No.
I don't
It makes it illegal, but I'm not thinking they're stupid.
No.
I'm telling you this. I'm not saying a child because someone said, and Chandel, thank you. See, because these guys, gullible. Chandel says, you have mothers. Get this. Listen what's at play, guys.
We are blaming these victims.
No, but we're not blaming victims. What we are doing is dissecting this issue bit by bit. It is not pointing a finger at a 15-year-old because certainly she knows no different. Well, not in today's world, but the point is she's not responsible for her actions. But listen to this, the Chandel, and the same way I talked earlier about every opinion matters, please, I do that to my viewers as well. Here's Chandel Williams. You have mothers in this country turning a blind eye while their husbands and boyfriends sexually abuse their children, but he's paying all the bills. And so, Chandel, imagine then when a multi-billionaire can be like, your daughter cute. Send her over, I want to model these nice pants.
So the daughter doesn't know that, but the mother knows this. Is what I'm saying.
Exactly.
See, a lot of times these children go into these things innocently. And what happens is that the mothers prostitute their children, and they're wrong for that, and they should be locked away and the keys thrown away.
From my understanding, there were recruiters,
Right.
other young
Multiple levels of recruiters
in these over the person said to me Bay in town, but I'll say over the hill, who went and made the sale pitch for these young girls, and I was told busloads.
Okay, now
Busloads were taken.
So busloads of young ladies were
hold on,
taken.
hold on.
And guess what? They had a Pacific low for money.
No, hold on.
For money.
I know, I heard this today before coming to the show. A reputable fashion modeling company used to do business with Nygard.
I'm sure.
And they used to take their ladies because Nygard had a business, which is a fashion business.
Yes.
When you are an aspiring model and you have an opportunity from a mogul in your country, you're going with that mindset.
But then why that is what I said earlier.
But
I said earlier that yes, I heard from Peggy, Shenique, they over there do nice recruiting for modeling, and you can model from locally to internationally. You could be in New York, wherever, streets of the runways of Paris, whatever. But you may have to, just be nice. You may have to do 1 or 2 little things.
No, I don't think that picture is always presented.
That picture is commonly presented.
No, but in the report, a lot of times they were drugged, which means that they did things against their will. They were done against their will. And the fact is they slipped stuff in their drinks and stuff like that. This was happening to these young people. And so they were taken advantage of. And so when you're talking about unsupervised young people in certain environments, these things happen. Exactly. How do you think R. Kelly got away with the things he got away with?
Yeah. The mother took them to R. Kelly.
Yeah, but the children didn't know what was happening. No, see,
I'm not
blame children.
I'm not blaming the children, but I'm saying, who made a 15-year-old lady?
They not them. But they not.
Listen. The problem with this is
they don't know 15-year-olds today.
The problem with this is, and there's a way to deal with this. The age of consent is 16, which is a problem. Let's deal with this problem first. The age of consent, and the reason why.
Because you got horny politicians and leaders who want to fool with these young girls.
Okay.
Let's be honest with that.
And we know that sex trade, especially in poor countries, third world countries, wealthy men, we watch documentaries.
But let's not blame the young girls though.
I'm not blaming them. I said there's responsibility for all participants.
What she is saying, Glenroy, is that while she is not blaming the 15 or 14-year-old, even the 16-year-old, she is saying today, if you have a conversation with any one of them, as young as they are, as you all said, and they cannot give consent, they are on a different run.
The minds
their minds more developed.
It ain't the minds they want you know.
Carol,
Nobody
if you could
can
maybe
Nygard keep up minds.
if you can bring us a little closer, people said they wanted a little, without cutting off anybody. So let me get some more comments. By the way, thank you, social media. Please share the video. Please continue commenting. I will get to as many comments as possible. Dinah Knoll says, speak truth, yes. Chandel says, Shenique, the parents need to go under the jail. And Dinah, of course, I asked Kara if she can please maybe tighten up a little bit, and she's doing a great job. And you all see this new background we have here, so the lighting is even better, really super. Just trying to work on it for you guys as we continue to navigate. Thank you very much, Albert Gardner. The Conversation with Shenique.miller is the only realist show in the Bahamas today. That is why the political gangster, they are nervous. Kevin Moore says, tell Glenroy stop playing like he don't know Nygard. I mean, okay, allegedly, reportedly, alleged that Nygard used to stay in a popular club right in the hotel where he worked. I know better. Listen to me, Glenroy. I know better than to call names. Where he works, and he used to do his fool right in there. Glenroy, notice. Kevin says only him could be barefoot in there. Oh Lord, I tell you. Hello to hey Margaret Elizabeth McKay, big hello to you, big hello. And so the thing is, we know whether it's fact or fiction, whether it's embellished. Okay, no, forget fact of whether it's embellished or not. We have heard over the years of what was synonymous with taking place at Nygard Key. And the thing about it is to hear these stories come out right now, to hear these stories that they just really kind of, they're shocking, because you would not think, I never thought young underage girls were involved. I knew a lot of girls who, in fact, I've worked with pageants now for a number of years in various capacities. And I do remember two pageants in particular, one a Miss Teen pageant and one Miss Teen pageant, but the girls could be up to 18. So one a Miss Teen pageant, one a Miss Bahamas pageant, the adult pageant, where it was told that's Nygard girlfriend. And so that's what I didn't think anything of it. I figured, okay.
But you know what? You have, and why do you think we have Miss World, all these different organizations where young girls parade their bodies up on the screen in these bathing suits? Who's benefiting from that?
They are.
Okay, and so that's the point. The whole point is that is designed to be able to produce and to show, listen, I am sexually appealing, so that you can now...
That's a double line. Come on now. A beauty pageant is different.
You still think so?
A beauty pageant is different. The motive and the precept and all that. The premise of a beauty pageant is so different than going and selling your body and being a part of a sex trade. I'm not saying that some girls don't sleep with. It's a sex trade. A sex trade. I'm not saying that there are some contestants who might go sleep with judges for favors and higher scores. I am saying though, Glenroy, a beauty pageant, these prestigious organizations that all have their foolishness going on, I'll admit to it, but the beauty pageant is a beauty pageant, and the sex trade industry that has totally become a whole different thing of late is an entirely different matter.
Hold on, let me clarify something. There's a particular president, okay? There's a particular president who owned this organization.
Yes.
And he made a statement that he has the privilege of going in the bar where they are naked and seeing them. He said, and you own it, you could do that type of stuff. And he did this on a regular basis. And he is also associated with known persons like the Jeffrey Epstein and the Prince, who are actually have been accused of young girls. Okay, that's one. The other side of this is, if we are saying that, and listen to what we're saying, we've been saying all along here that this stuff has been going on at Nygard Key for such a long time, and everybody knew about it. If everybody knew about it, pray tell me why those politicians went down there and enjoyed themselves, relaxing and maxing and chilling out like everything is all cool. Explain to me why, if this has been going on all this time and we all knew about it, why were they there?
But they're grown men to do whatever they please to do.
I just want to make sure that's correct.
They are grown men. They are not 15 and 14. They were grown, blank men. And so this is why I'm opposed of it becoming a political thing. This is a charge against the Bahamas. This is a charge of corruption against the Bahamas. And two things I need to be addressed: the age of consent and campaign finance reform. Right. Because Nygard poll was that he was influencing governments, that he had his hands on the hearts and the minds of governments, meaning that especially 2012, when the stem cell bill was done, it was like a payment for the contribution. At the time, it was said to be $5 million contribution to a political party. But it is known or said that other people benefited, and it was past party line. So like I said before, cautionary.
What we saw in the pictures, though. What we saw in the video.
Listen. Videos coming out. I don't think there's only one video. And I've read online, somebody said, warn them not to dig, because a lot of things. And I say dig because we need to know who all the players are involved.
Absolutely, and I'll tell you this, someone I was speaking to earlier said, boy, Shenique, this investigation does not need to go any further because of what will be revealed.
Let the chips fall.
What will be revealed. And I can only imagine these allegations are very, very scathing. They're very serious, particularly based on the temperament that is happening worldwide right now, especially in the United States. And so it's quite interesting to see exactly where this lands, Nygard, and also what else is unveiled.
I just found it amazing that the court matter that he's faced here in the Bahamas is like our jurisdiction could not grab him or hold him long enough to actually deal with him for being in contempt of court. But now he's in another arena where either he'll have to leave the United States if he's in the United States, and hopefully not be, for his sake, not be deported from whatever country he's in to face those kind of charges, and so extradited to face those civil suits that is against him. But even if he doesn't appear, if his lawyers appear on his behalf, and he loses, he will be spending over millions. But get back to the point of, I just want us to bear in mind that when we talk about children, we talk about the brains of a child not fully developed.
Exactly.
They are not emotionally matured. Whether they might do things that are, to our standards, we would say wrong and so forth like that. If they cannot give consent and they're not responsible, so no responsibility is given to them, because as an adult, we have the responsibility to protect our children.
Absolutely, and very true. And let's bring up another point then. That is why parents stop, particularly you mothers. I don't know if fathers are involved in this, but stop prostituting your daughters out to the highest bidders. Go and work. The little corned beef and rice ain't worth your daughter sleeping with the man in the next room, and you close your eyes to that because why? You all need to eat. No, it starts from there, and this stuff has been going on forever.
But it has been going on not only with Nygard. We heard the same stories for bus drivers. We heard the same stories for drug dealers. We've heard the same story for.
But does it make it right?
No, I'm saying that
it
seems to be something that is done and knowingly done. Like I'm saying, we heard the stories.
Listen. Bahamian mothers in particular see their way out between their girls' legs. Go, yes.
And so I'm not saying, and that is why I'm concerned personally as a mother about the age of consent. We need to close these gaps. So what do you say, 18? 18. They only can vote at 18.
Because, here's the saying. You got to be 16 on age consent. You have to be 18 to vote, but you could be any age to give consent to what gender you want to be.
Oh,
that was humor.
And then when we look at the age of 16, when a teenage becomes a mother, even at the age of 16, she cannot sign herself in and out of hospital. Right. It's just a lot of nonsense.
It is a very archaic, convoluted set of laws that we have. So you're saying a 16-year-old gets pregnant. Wait, a 16-year-old who can give consent?
Yes.
She gets pregnant.
She can't go to the hospital.
She can't go to the hospital
and sign herself.
She needs a guardian.
She needs a guardian to go to the clinic to take the baby after it's born, as long as she's under 18. She needs a guardian.
But you need to, and I know we're blaming the mothers in a sense, right? And mothers are responsible to some degree. But I ain't letting these fathers off either. Because guess what? A lot of women are struggling. The struggle real.
Very true.
They're struggling.
Yeah.
And survival in order to survive, people do some silly stuff.
I agree.
All right? And so when these fellas them laying down with these women and having a bunch of children with them and not taking care of them, we need to put some teeth into that law as well.
We do.
Lock these fellas backside up. That's one.
No.
Lock them up. And make them pay. Dock their salaries.
Yes.
We need some serious laws.
Because in the U.S., isn't that like that comes out of your salary? And the thing about it is, I like that, Glenroy, because a lot of these Bahamian men have an attitude of this, especially these black men. They don't want to cover up, and so their thing is let their seed flow, like you planting corn and you just let it spring. That is a stupid idea. It's a slave mentality, because you want to go and produce and reproduce and go and do all the stuff you figure you want to do, but you are not accountable to the child. And especially why these young men are so angry and bitter now, because they've been abandoned by fathers, or the fathers don't play a very instrumental, active role in their lives.
And I think it's because, and I appreciate what Glenroy did by injecting the fathers. I think if there was solid families, I don't think it would be so easy to prey upon these young people to go inside these communities and just take them out as if there was some slave trading. And I said to somebody who was speaking to me about it, I said, you know something? Black people gave white people, black people in Africa for slaves. And it seems like the same thing took place in the country. You had Bahamians taking and collecting these young women and taking them to be sexual entertainment. For other persons.
That's
we
right.
do not protect each other.
And probably they were getting paid as well for
course,
providing the girls. Because did you say that there were buses and buses of from however many the age is being bused to Nygard?
And I was told,
allegedly.
And I was told there was a type plus size girl.
Yeah, you actually
Also, chunky girls was in a part of this party.
No, so
You couldn't go?
I couldn't go.
Okay. I need them chunkies. I need them chunkies.
But in all seriousness, right? I had an intent to hire a young lady about a year or two ago, and she shared with me a particular individual that all of you would know around this table, introduced them as they have a modeling company and so forth. And when she got there to the place, she was propositioned, to sleep with him. I mean, if you look at this individual, who would want desire to sleep with him? But that's what they do. They use their perceived position, and that's what we men do.
Power.
And our power, and we prey on the vulnerability of our female populace. And when you sell them a dream and they believe that you can give them a dream, then they will just, I'm just going to let this slide to get through, and that's what happens.
But listen, that happens even in the political arena too. A lot of these politicians around here, they won't hire a young lady unless they sleep with them. All right? I know
that still goes on.
Listen, I know of a lady, right?
And you want to go in politics now?
Listen, integrity.
No, but you need people like Glenroy too. Not somebody who can be like, get on your back.
Yeah.
Before I could give you this job or whatever the case is. Go on, Glenroy.
And that's the part of the problem. And a lot of the problems that we have in this world is sex. Everything stems from the sex. I mean, if you look at a lot of challenges, it's all about the sex. And so we teach responsible sex, and we also make sure that we prosecute.
First of all, you teach these Bahamian men. I mean, from every level in society, teach them. Some of them. First of all, can't even handle themselves as well as they think. Stop being so consumed with what is under your zipper.
Yeah, but you gotta
and look at a woman for what she's worth.
Yeah, but understand the point. See, a part of what was stated earlier with Peggy, right, in Africa. Black men were producing machines. So they were designed from an inculcation and a mindset. You are to produce babies, produce. And as a result, that mindset has festered and continued to grow.
It's
we have
a
shifted in a lot of ways.
Genetically, it's proven, research has proven, because of the slave trade, genetically, what happened is that it's passed on genetically through the black man, through slavery, for this kind of behavior. So now you have to, what we call, re-educate, retrain the black man.
Well, Charles, let's get this conversation back to where we started from, because we ain't Oprah and Bill. That was a joke. All I'm saying is we're talking about Nygard.
Yes.
And we're talking about the very serious allegations of rape and corruption and a number of things. Guys, let's kind of just segue. Before we do that, I want to talk about the whole customs deal and how Glenroy, if you try to bring something in right now, you got to pay your mom and then everybody else and tip somebody to try to get it. But Nygard, big 747 jet or 737 jet was bring it in. Just go on, sir. Yes, sir. Go on. Just 1 second. Let me get some comments. I'd love to get my people involved. So Stephanie Macfi in Italy says, great show and wonderful discussion. Thank you. Dolores Robinson, good afternoon. Great topic. Parents hold some responsibility for the underage. And she's right. You know, we talked about earlier about how sometimes parents encourage their daughters to go out there and seek the male company. Of course, the male got to pay before they play. Kimberly Ahmad says, God bless your necks. Thank you, Kimberly. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Patrice Davis, you're saying no sound? Please don't say that. Everybody is. Oh, okay, awesome, good. Thank you. Okay, thank you. Albert says, this is why the politicians dropped the age of consent. Launched Carnival, and now they out to get everybody high. Boy, I see somebody today talking about Carnival, like Carnival isn't all, you know, all bad.
Consenting adults.
You know, consenting adults, if you want to walk around with your body painted naked,
One different discussion.
Philippa Newton says, good afternoon, Shenique and panel. Big hello to you, Philippa. By the way, Philippa is a realtor. I think this is the one I'm talking to because I know she has another sister in Florida. She's a realtor. Hit her up and see what you can invest in. Kevin Moss says, sex trade has been going on in all these big corporate, everywhere in the Bahamas, he's saying, on every level. On every level. Monique Boris says, Glenroy, you are trying to downplay dirt. You're trying to blame the females, so stop while you're ahead.
Glenroy.
Obviously, she didn't hear my prior statements, and so I text her back. She has to go back and look at the thing, because I've been fighting for the female.
You know what was so amazing? I was just chuckling to myself. I said, you know, the female is actually defending, the males are actually defending the females, whereas on this show, it looked like the females are, you know.
Right.
It felt good.
I'll tell you guys, it isn't at all beating up on the 15-year-old. What Peggy was saying, and I fully agree, is that, and mind you, it does not make it right at all. Don't get it confused. Just pointing out, though, that today's 15-year-old is a 25-year-old or 30, if not in mind and body.
Yeah.
But let me just continue. Barrington, Brennan in Orlando, big hello to you. Hogs will go to the trough. Kizzy, big hello to you, Kizzy. Aisha Newton, big hello to you, darling. Ivory Johnson in Atlanta says 2020 is their vision. Let the chips fall where they may. I think somebody else said that right here. Said, let the chips fall where they may. Thank you. You didn't get the notification, Kizzy? Boy, I don't know what I did, but I'm happy that you're on live. Please share the video, guys. Please continue to comment as well. I want to read as many comments from you all as possible. Kevin says, whoever is in this, let the chips fall where they may. Yeah, it may turn very ugly, or the case may be,
This is probably an opportunity to clean houses. You know, we're in the campaign season and everybody and the Billy Goat want to offer themselves.
So how convenient, eh? This is why I think the PLP is saying take this all with a grain of salt, because why it's come just now?
Yeah.
When the campaign season on.
But that's why I go back to what I said. If the F&M could dictate to American court, that tells you then we have a lot of power in this country. But then if American court has accepted the dictation of the F&M, that tells you what America thinks of the PLP, doesn't it? Because obviously there's an acceptance and then there's a broadcast of all the details. And so that is some tricky, slippery slope that we're under. Don't forget now, again, if these allegations are true, and if we know basically that all these things have been going on at Nygard for all this time, if you go back to videos, Nygard has indicated that he's known some of these politicians for 10, 15, 25, over 30 years. They have been friends. And so you mean to tell me you were close with this individual and didn't know what was going on? Not one clue?
Maybe you just went there for drinks.
I
didn't see anything else.
And dressed up and lounged off.
Yeah. I heard of a story with a particular politician sat waiting for Nygard for 2 hours. And to shame him, Nygard allowed him to sit for 2 hours. And when he got fed up and ready to leave, Nygard came down the stairs. He was toying with them. He knew that these greedy people like money.
So you mean even the elected officials?
Top right.
Monique Barra says, I know for a fact that this stuff is real because I know of a young lady who I was told was on the list I personally had to call the lady in charge to let her know that the young lady was a minor. Also, there was a lady in charge.
Yeah.
It was a madam kind of situation.
Who took the pictures and had this
What kind of pictures?
Everybody, every female that female that entered the island. You remember they said there's 775,000 data. Every person, female who went on that island, a photo was taken, and she was signed the letter of this non-disclosure. And so that 75,000 bit of data could include these thousands of pictures of these young people. And I think, like the pictures that were released in 2012, I think this was a way of controlling, of manipulating. If you come on the island, we have records. And so these things will store up, and obviously the data now will go before the court.
So even you weren't a part of the
because I want to know
illegal stuff. You were made to be a part of it.
No, I'm talking.
I don't need no picture.
That can be used if I take your
Listen,
picture.
child, I forgot what year it was. Troy, I forgot what year it was, but I went there for a youth event.
You been there?
Shenique, confession.
Before the priest.
Yes.
Listen to me, y'all. I was a Nygard. I believe I could have me a piece of pizza. Or have me. I think I did this before I changed my whole life. Listen.
Did you drink anything? Did you feel dizzy?
No, I didn't feel dizzy.
Okay.
I had water. I had a lot of water. I wanted soda, but I couldn't get it.
Do you remember that night in its entirety?
No. Some things are blurred. I just don't want to picture me. That's what I'm saying. No, listen, right? So let's get to some more comments. Christine Sweeting says, even adults sometimes don't know what they want. So what do you think about a child or a teenager? Mandel Miller says, policy is currently being advanced to address the healthcare side of the fact that a 16-year-old can give consent for sex, but not for healthcare. It needs to happen. I'm telling you, it totally does. Albert says society is obligated to protect the vulnerable.
Yes.
Amen.
Yeah, that's what you guys are saying, and we all agree to it. Monique says most of the time the women, most of the time the mothers don't know. And that's another thing about these guys that's running their own game.
Stop blaming the girls. I don't believe the girls are guilty of anything.
Blame the bus driver?
No, I blame the person who raped those children if they raped them. I blame the rapist.
Clara, behind that little camera, you be quiet and just focus on the camera, please. Because I want to ask these teenage boys. I'm sure they're in their teens and 20s. What y'all say, boys? What y'all say with 15-year-old girls today? Young men.
Oh,
What that mean? What does this mean? See, you all need to see these young men. What? They're on a different level than 15-year-olds.
Yeah.
Okay, then that's what I say.
But that doesn't mean.
Yeah, but it's just like okay. I'm going to throw a branch here. Just like how our good Prime Minister want to decriminalize marijuana.
Right.
And like I stated before, we agree with decriminalization, the usage of small amount of marijuana, only unless it is decriminalized with drug treatment court. Why? Because we know the frontal lobe of our young people between the ages of youth to all the way to almost 25 is not fully developed. So when you take that substance and it's not fully developed, and you take it can cause all kind of co-occurring disorders. So with that being said, as a result of even decision making, our adolescent runs, the World Health Organization put adolescent up to the age of 19. In my social work background, we put it up to age 25. Why? Because emotionally, psychologically, and chemically, as it relates to the brain development, the young people, their brains are not fully developed until they 25, actually 25 and beyond. So to talk about them know exactly what they're doing and know making right decisions and so forth, no, they're not mature enough.
Exactly, and that's why Hitler was able to influence different people, because he got them when they were young. See, listen, the young are vulnerable, and when you got youth on, you can take advantage and manipulate. That's why you think they want young people? Because they know that they can manipulate them and sell them dreams. Listen, you know what, and show them all these pictures. You can be this, and you can be that, and you can be all this.
Like the
you can imagine you telling some young poor girl this.
50-something-year-old woman is fault for that.
A young, but judge it, 15-year-old poor young girl this. who hasn't had much in her life.
And other way, when we even put poor, it isn't the economic, it's the value-based system. Remember, a lot of our kids are now growing up what we call latchkey children, whereas parents aren't really there to supervise. And a lot of these things happen between the hours of 4 to 7 as it relates to abuse of our young people. So they can be manipulated, taken advantage of as such. And so we got to be very careful how we don't create a safety net for our young people not to succeed.
Well, I think what needs to be addressed, because I think there's so much teachable moments in this same...
Sound like Barry Christie.
Yes, I know. So much teachable moments in
Did
this
you go to
same...
Nygard?
I've been plus size all my life. I've been so...
Yeah, no, I said not you.
No,
I've
been plus size all my life. But I think there's so much that we need to learn from this. And so much, like I said, gaps that need, I'm thinking now risk mitigation, so much gaps that needs to be closed legally to protect our young people. Because everybody say, protect the young people, protect the young people. But we don't come together and say, enforce the law, firstly, or increase the age of consent. I don't, and this is why a court in New York has more national coverage than a court in Nassau.
Very true. Absolutely.
On the same issue.
On the very same issue. Yeah. Monique Borrell says most of the time the mothers don't know, and that is why a lot of these young ladies think that they're grown. Here is, thank you very much. Kizzy, thank you. Everybody, please share the video. Share the video. Mandel says, Mandel trying to hit on you at your thickness. Say you was tick you out of that. Kevin says, this is, they use their power. That's why you don't show them you're desperate. That's it. That's a whole different, that's a lesson altogether at a different level. Patrice Davis says, some mothers really turn a blind eye to these situations, especially if their daughters are bringing them the money. And they aren't trying to find out where the money comes from. Eileen Russell says, men have a cliche. If you beg them for something, then they will beg you. Stephanie Manfi in Italy says, unfortunately, it's not just in the lowest status families in the Bahamas. Here in Italy, about 2 years ago, parents were arrested for offering their young underage daughters for sexual activities in exchange for material goods. It was an extremely big ring that also involved middle-class families. Actually, you know what, that's true, because I heard of an affluent family here, you know, who was pushing their daughter, and I don't think she was underage, but just pushing her on a certain individual who you know, who rolled it in the dough in this country.
And that happens in the East all the time.
Which is?
South.
I mean,
the Middle East.
Yeah, the eastern side of the globe.
Yeah, the Middle East area. Yeah. I was on the side of him. I would know that Eastern Road. Eastwood, you know, San Susie, Yamaha.
Troy, clarify.
I never on the East.
Albert Gardner says men are out of order in this country. Cara Ellis said, oh, flip me. This Cara, let me hear what she's saying. Cara Ellis, also a technical assistant at this show, says, I personally dislike the fact that the age of consent is 16, but the age for marriage is 18 in our Christian land. It is, isn't that? That's
and there's no age, Cara. Actually, if I decide, you know, I want to be a female now, so a child can.
But in the Bahamas, is that so? In the Bahamas,
there's no law. Our laws are far behind. So as it relates to gender now, it hasn't been addressed, and it's going to come here. We do it in our
if it isn't already, it's here. You know what I mean? Some. Anyway, Lord, that's a different topic.
Yeah.
Good afternoon to you, Terry Pinder and Eleuthera. Big hello to you. You know, Monique, you're gonna have to stop being a little trapsy. Talk about it, but girl, I was there. I took all kind of pictures and everything. I went for a youth event. I forgot the name of the youth event, but yes.
Make sure saying that.
Youth event, yes.
And you was young then, right?
No, I was the same age. I was doing the work of the Lord. Praise Him. Yes, absolutely. Kevin says all these politicians have been at Nygard Key, FNLs and PLPs, so you know they like the money in their belly.
So let the investigation. I see the Tribune editorial call for inquiry because of the allegations and because of the allegations of bribery. And so I'm so for that, because let all be exposed. And the good ones will stand. Mm-hmm. And so let's clean up house, let all be exposed, and so there'll be stop pointing
fingers.
fingers.
How about Peggy and the others can chime in at their time. You know, it's really disgusting, particularly if you are somebody who frequents shipping companies and hear that every minute there's a new something that's being introduced that they better adhere to. And this man was being waived, allegedly, reportedly, by the Customs Department.
And Bahamians need to take note, especially those who are starting out in their businesses, who are struggling to make ends meet, who just want an opportunity. That at a certain salary or money, there are no questions asked, apparently. If you have the right amount of dollar figure attached to your name, you can just walk through. But you will have, as a poor, striving Bahamian or middle-class Bahamian, you go through the ropes. And they've been now clamping down on bribery cases and everything. And so it's most unfortunate that this charge can be levied against custom officers, and we need not overlook this, because this is an important factor in the whole scenario, because it is apparent that criminal activity was taking place all around
and we talk about revenue, and we talk about having to increase revenue collection.
Exactly.
But there you have it. That bit of revenue, if only, according to these allegations, just unrecognized.
Yes.
Listen, if Joe Blow could come in and present, himself the customs and had 1 million items from Walmart and get by because he slipped under $10, we think Nygard can get away with it. He could probably bring in a helicopter, and get away with more. The reality is that the people who are allowing this is the Bahamian people. We are, in some cases, some of us are corrupt.
How are we allowing this?
We are allowing this.
Are we the gatekeepers? Are all of us the gatekeepers?
Some Bahamians are gatekeepers because they were hired. Those customs officers who are being charged, if this allegation is true, right?
Right. That's the
Those persons are Bahamians. They allow that to happen if it is true. Right. We can't blame no government for that. We got to blame the Bahamian people for that.
No, you can't blame the Bahamian people. Who you have to blame are those corrupt officials who work.
But they are Bahamians.
No, but you can't.
But the government is Bahamian too.
But understand the point.
I
always say this. Listen. If we have a pool of corrupt people, we're going to elect them.
So
that's a reality.
So don't separate them, because you're saying blame the people.
So,
but the government is the people, of the people, for the people, by the people. The government is the people. Say me.
I said me.
Me. So don't separate and say you can't blame the government.
No, so customs is a country?
Customs
is a people?
I'm saying have oversight.
Listen, you can have oversight as much as you like.
So you blame me for what happened at your workplace?
Listen to what I'm saying.
You're Bahamian and your Bahamians work there.
Listen to what I'm saying. When you were hired with specific rules of engagement. You could decide whether you follow those rules or you break the rules, right?
Right.
When you break the rules, is it the employer's fault that you broke the rules? No, you are at fault because you decided to break the rules.
But it's the employer's fault if you know the rules are being broken and you do not enforce your laws, your policy, your guidelines.
And guess what happens? When we have a pool of individuals who cover for one another, that is where corrupt practices
I was just
are
going to
consistent.
There is a trickle-down effect of corruption.
No.
The Bible says that everything starts at the top.
You argue at a different point.
No,
I
want to be inclusive.
No, I'm not. Listen,
I want to be inclusive.
Depending how inclusive you want to be. You trying to bring the very top into what some people are doing on this level?
No,
exactly.
I'm in relations to customs and the revenue. Like we said, everything. You hear the whisper about these things happening, and I'm sure at every level there's a knowledge of these things. Additionally, a plane cannot come into the airport undiscovered or invisible. Mm-hmm. Everybody at every level will be seeing that this plane is coming in. And so if a plane comes in, there is no clearance. The small man knows. Each level of supervisors will be aware.
Somebody has to give the authority.
Somebody has to give the pass.
So those who have responsibility, they have to take responsibility for the corruption that occurs, if any occur. And not the whole Bahamian population.
When
I say you live on the Eastern Road. No.
Listen to what I said. No. Many Bahamians.
I'm a black knight.
Let's be nice. Let's be honest. Many Bahamians
that's
no corrupt practices take place.
Yes.
and partake in those corrupt practices, regardless of the fact. What I'm saying is, if we want the corrupt practice to stop in our country, for example,
what do you call corruption? Because we as Bahamians, we throw around the word loosely, corruption.
Yeah,
because a lot of times something that is unethical doesn't mean it's criminal.
Listen, okay. Corrupt practice is when you come into customs and you know you're supposed to pay and you lie, and the customs officer will the truth. That's corrupt. And guess what? A good percentage of the Indians partake in that. Let's be honest.
So what about favor? So what about when favor?
That ain't favor. That's breaking the law. Favor. When people give you favor. That ain't favor.
I only spent $200.
No.
10 suitcases.
No. I'm talking serious.
That's not favor.
Okay, let me give you an example.
That's a loss of revenue.
Listen to me.
Let's hear this fabrication.
I have traveled many times, right? And when I come into the country, I declare everything that I spend.
You might.
Yes. No. Everything that I spend. And there are many times it was over the exemption that I do. And I was, Michelle.
You heard him lie. He is a part of the corrupt practices.
Don't spoil it for the rest of us, child.
No. What I'm saying, I'm giving an example of favor. What happens is that sometimes where people can use discretion. And I know
customer officers. There are some nice customer officers out there.
Who would say, okay, pay for this and don't pay for this. And,
let me ask you a question.
And you don't offer nothing and they're not getting anything. Okay. Do you call that corruption?
Because if they're not following their job, that's corrupt practices.
So when a police officer stops you on the street and you violate a traffic violation, and he uses discretion and give you a warning and give you a break, is that corruption?
I don't know what the rules are as related.
The rule might say if you do not stop at that stop sign and you went straight ahead without slowing down and you did not stop, that's a fine. But he gave you a warning instead of a fine.
He is kindly using his discretion, yes.
Right. They may have that opportunity to do that. But in cases where revenue needs to be collected,
but see,
you can imagine. Hold on, listen to what I'm saying.
Corruption is coming when you actually underhandedly wants to get something in lieu of what you should not get, like monetary gain or favor. But what I'm saying, if somebody
I said we lie on custom forms. We don't put the full declaration. But that's corrupt.
I tell the truth of my customers.
No, but that's the part of the corrupt practice that I'm talking about.
I understand the whole Bahamas got some answer for when it comes to that. Don't mix this up.
But understand these levels. These levels are what's costing us, and that's why I'm saying the Bahamian, for example.
You get exemption, because I got exemption for my organization.
Yeah, you get exemption up to a certain amount.
No, I got exemption for my vehicle and everything, but I only have to pay VAT.
We only don't like corruption when it don't involve. We don't like to have corruption. We
don't like corruption when cases like this come out and the Bahamas is painted in a sour light in the international community's eyes, because it looks like it's a country for sale where there is no law and order. I'm on social media, social news sites a lot, not social media, but news sites. And to hear the sentiment being expressed about the Bahamas and other Caribbean countries, it is just awful. You want to cringe and be upset. But this is the general sentiment right here that's being expressed in these articles. This is what the fact that is that country for sale. You ain't gonna get no kind of justice in the judicial system. There's like a whole lot of stuff that's being expressed by people.
I hear something different when I travel. Everybody wants to come to the Bahamas. I'm serious.
He's going to Florida.
He don't go to Florida. He's go to Miami.
No, but I'm serious. A lot of times. See, I think people understand exactly, because they know corruption happens even in their state,
of course,
even in their districts and so forth at the political level. But overall, they have an appreciation that the Bahamas is a place where they can go frolic and have fun.
Yeah, listen, let me get to some comments, because after that we're going to shift. Speaking about corruption, the Minister of Works, Desmond Bannister, is levying, my word here, corruption, but complacency on all of our doorsteps with these shanty towns. You all can hear about that in a second, but let me just get to some more comments coming in right now on social media. Let's go. Janice Johnson is charging at you, Glenroy. Charge, and I mean charging hard. Kevin says, Glenroy, these little girls got more game than their parents. They started off young, and they are maturing extremely quickly. He said,
I am not blaming no girls, and you blaming the girls. You have daughters. Don't blame no girls.
That's why you're protective, because you have daughters.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Here it is. Here are some others. So what did Kevin say? You can only tell these kids right from wrong. Absolutely, you can't. You can't hammer it in. You can only hopefully bring them up the right way. Inga Dorset said, "Drain the swamp." Inga, let's be careful of that. You can't say, "Yeah." Be careful what we ask them about.
The swamp might be right there. But I don't want us to be misled. The Bahamas is a beautiful place to travel to do business in. And it has warm, friendly, kind people. In every community you will have people who have ulterior motives that might be corrupt, but that is not the general picture of our country. The Bahamas is the place where God lives.
My God's still in it? No, he lives here. Don't get me wrong. Stop, Sash. Jeffro in Tennessee is watching. Big hello to you, Jeffro. Thank you. Tanya says, I disagree with Lil Gatekeeper taking the blame. Oftentimes, the big government officials and those in charge get the phone calls and their views are overlooked. We have empowered these foreigners to treat us like slaves. They have the big man, government, on speed dial and dismiss. And child, by the time they tell you, please move, please. They look at you like you was a little fly, they swatting. Please move. Hey, how you doing? I'm here, let me through. Okay, yeah, thanks. Talk to the minion. Let's just see. We are a country for sale. The big boys are collecting the profits and we are in the dark. That is from Tanya Nichols Sears Stubbs. Boy, Tanya, that's a lot of names. Kizzy says, I agree with Glenmore. I cannot blame the girls. Stephanie Mackey says, no matter where you live in the world, corruption exists. Don't get me started here in Italy. Well, Charlie, no, because your government had to change twice in a how you say, government tenure.
But the Italian government always have issues from when you look at World War I, World War II. That's why we had World War II and World War I because of, when they aligned themselves with Hitler and everything in World War II. So we know that. That doesn't change.
Dwayne Hyler says, Peter Nygard sent thousands of dollars per month to bank account to the Bank of America, allegedly account. Man, you know what, Peter? You got to name. What's your name? Dwayne. Dwayne in Jesus' name. Now let me see where I can read, where I can pick up this reading.
What is true?
Dwayne! I just read further what Dwayne's saying.
Right.
Dwayne, don't you play with me. That's what I want. Obtained by the, wait a minute, wait. Documents obtained by the Tribune shows the payments totaled. What the payments totaled?
$94,131.10. But we need to tell the rest of the story, Mr. Gibson.
Shut up, girl! Don't.
Explain that it was political donation, and that is why we need campaign finance reform.
Yeah, but Dwayne, take over that. Yes, sir. Don't play around. Dwayne, it was campaign financing. That's what that was.
Yes.
Hello, Sean Higgs, watching from Los Angeles, California. Big hello to you. Thank you very, very much. Let me know where you're watching from. Continue sharing the video. Continue participating. And so, guys, once again, this is obviously something that we're going to see. Exactly how it plays out. This is going to be in the news for a minute. Again, the story that we spent primarily over an hour on, Nygard, the big fallout from Nygard's rape and corruption allegations, and just looking at various aspects of what came out in the story, and going from there. And kind of just talking it amongst ourselves and various allegations made in our police, against our police force, against our customs department, and even elected officials, and so this is obviously going to be quite interesting as it plays out in the court, and also in the media. Desmond Bannister, a Minister of Public Works, says that Bahamians are, let me just read an excerpt. Minister of Public Works, Desmond Bannister, said Bahamians' complacency created the shantytown problem that exists in the country. It should never have come to this, Bannister said, while he was in Abaco, actually, at the weekend. If we as Bahamians did not let these things come up, we would never have to come to this situation. If we had not been so complacent, we'd never have let these communities grow up, and I guess get to this point is what he's saying. You guys, again, it's almost like what Troy's saying. You won't blame the whole Bahamas for what a few have prospered and benefited from. What do you all have to say about the minister's, Desmond Bannister's comments?
Silence. We need from the top. That's what I have to say. We mean those who are in authority to enforce the laws. We mean those who were giving work permits. We mean those who are aware that shipment of illegal migrants were coming in, and we did nothing about it. I think when he said we, he was encompassing all of we.
I think, and I agree, there's a collective responsibility on all Bahamians as it relates to the shantytown issue. And like I have often said, a lot of Bahamians partake in this practice of hiring these illegals, harboring these illegals, and creating an environment that they can grow and fester. Yes, undocumented individuals. Yes. Illegals, undocumented.
No, we don't
when you allow persons to sell and you buy from them and you know that they're not documented properly,
or they clean
that's
your
a
yard.
problem.
Or they clean your
Or
house.
they clean your yard, or they clean house. You partake in the practices that we are now complaining about.
Okay.
And that's why I say it's a collective responsibility.
Okay.
We all have a responsibility in this.
We contribute to it.
And further to that, why does this problem only exist in some islands? Why does this not exist in Long Island? Why does this
Only
not
Long
exist in
Island?
some
On top of that, what can Glenroy, what can you, me, Troy and Peggy do when an Andros, pristine, fresh water, good soil Andros, a doggone Haitian village is now in play with in excess of 1,800 residents.
Right.
What the flipping government agency is doing about it? I know I can't go there and say get out.
Don't say fresh clean, because I read with it.
No, that's E. coli as a result of those persons. Now here's
Hold on, read it. Let me make it talk. Read it.
it's in there. It's in there.
I want her to say
I can find
You gotta find it.
it.
But yes,
Well,
as a result of that community, it has resulted in E. coli being in the water.
In the water bed?
In the water bed. Now,
Listen, hold on, wait, hold on, hi, everybody, you heard that? Andros with a fresh, good water remember one time ago it's been barged to Nassau Daily?
Yeah.
There's E. coli now, hopefully in a park right there, but in the waterbed in Andros, the fresh, good, clean, God-given gift of water, E. coli. Why? Because of the newest shanty town that has been allowed to fester, bloom, and blossom in Andros. Read it, Peggy.
Last week it was revealed that E. coli was found in the groundwater in North Andros, was traced back to nearby shanty towns, according to officials.
Well, how did E. coli get there? Okay, wait. No.
Everything.
But you know something.
You know what? Let me just say hello to everybody. I have to take a break from that right there. Hi, Joylyn Hanfield, watching from Turks and Caicos. Big hello to you. Also, we have Jean Mosley Como, watching from Ocho Rios. Also to Sarah, watching from Overland Park in Kansas. And let me see anybody else. Of course, Jethro's in Tennessee. Shenique, what are they doing for the average Bahamian people? Troy, yes.
Hold on, before that. We talk about the government being responsible to do something, right? Look at a case in point. The government was in a fast pace to eradicate the country of shanty towns, right? They were starting the process.
Yes.
They gave eviction notices. They started to bulldoze down. They already cordoned off 1 or 2 areas, and an injunction was stopped. My question is, why was that injunction stopped?
And then
What law? It wasn't a law.
What law?
Because they broke the law.
You breaking the law. To construct little shops is criminal.
That's my question.
Remember what the Attorney General said? To construct little shops is criminal. How is it that the government can? Anyway, go ahead.
And
based on that,
country of laws.
Okay,
not because one person violated the law, that means you must, as a government agency, you must violate the law to.
No. But my question.
So that's why the court is the mediator.
And not only the law, but international.
Listen, international. International.
But this is reality.
Listen to what I'm saying. If you broke the law by entering the country, we don't have no obligation to you.
No, you
okay?
you still have rights.
No, you have rights.
Emotion.
But we have no. This isn't just emotion.
I don't think you have rights.
You have no rights.
You have rights. You have
You are breaking my house and have rights.
What
If you're breaking my house, you are a criminal.
One at a time. But what rights do you have when you entered illegally and are
Listen, hold on. Let me finish. I was making the comment.
Go ahead.
Put a pause on it because you make
because if somebody breaks into your home,
that's
right?
a bad analogy.
No.
Respond afterward.
If you are a prisoner you broke out of prison, you are a known rapist or murderer, and you come into another country, right? I don't know you from the can of paint. You could have the same mindset and you enter in my country. Now you are telling me that I got to protect you when you break into my country, and I don't know what your intentions are. I don't know you. And I have to be suspicious of you. And I have to protect my interests. Now understand this point.
I agree.
Now understand this point. Now, criminal activity is breaking the law, entering the country illegally. Now understand this point. Now my point is that the government has been making a move to eradicate the country of Shantytown.
And was stopped abruptly.
And was stopped abruptly.
Yeah.
Now, when you talk about what Desmond Bannister said, the government did what they were supposed to do. Now, whose responsibility now to make sure that the courts adhere to what the Bahamian people want? The Bahamian people need to rise up. The Bahamian people need to rise up and recognize, listen, laws are in a collective agreement. We as a nation decide that that's what we are going to agree on.
And the electorate drives law.
Exactly. So if we decide 50, 70, 80,000 of us says, look here, we want this.
It'll change.
It will change.
It'll change. Go ahead, Go ahead, Troy.
Okay, I understand you're shouting, you're huffing and you're puffing.
But that's not your call to me.
I want you to understand this. Okay, immigration, when we deal, the point that you made with immigration, they don't treat immigration violation as the same as any criminal activities. That's one. Also, when you talk about the courts and people rising up, there's a legitimate way for people to actually say, okay, then we want these laws to change so that they can reflect what is happening on the ground. The courts go by what is on statute and so forth. The police and immigration department, they are creatures of statute. Okay, that's another point. The other thing that you were talking about is that why things stop abruptly and all of that, criminal coming into your house. I mean, there's no connectivity with your analogy because there's a criminal offense that happened versus an immigration violation when you overspend your time or you come into the country as a refugee.
Glenroy is one host. As I was saying, Troy, I want to say, man, forget the United Nations because the U.S. don't check for that. Here's what I'm saying.
But not the U.S.
No, but still. What I'm saying is, to prove my point, you go in the U.S. and go sit down someplace where you constructed an illegal thing. First of all, you ain't got no right in the U.S., particularly under this administration, to talk about you, but that's against you're infringing on my rights. No, you illegal, go sit down. You have none.
No. You, even if you overspend your time in the U.S. as such, and somebody violated you, you still, of course, have action. That don't mean that you will not get
your time when you came in the right way, not breaking in.
Excuse me. Even if you overspend your time, as the rights of the child still have rights to education and healthcare. They don't stop that in the U.S. And then you can't compare and contrast a developed country to a developing country which don't have the rules and regulations to govern certain things.
Yeah, but you said when they overstay, that means that you were allowed in. You can't overstay when you weren't allowed in the first place. You're supposed to be here.
Well, not many people overstay though. Go ahead.
But that's a different issue.
What I want to speak to is the words of Bahamians rising up and making our courts address the situation. We rose up on May 10, 2017, and the majority of us elected men and women who go to the House Assembly to create and pass legislation. It could be done by those people who are already there. Why need we rise up again for the courts? We just need to ask our representatives to hear our cries. We need to change the laws and change the laws.
Okay, hold on.
And it's the law that
listen, guys.
is going to.
Listen to Sarah. And Sarah, please forgive me for not calling your full name. I just can't pronounce it. But Sarah in Kansas says, man, if you defend illegal immigration, go and try enter other countries. That's flipping true. Go and try enter other countries illegally and see what will happen to you. This so-called rights, which is flipping destroying countries worldwide, especially little small island nations, she says it is nonsense. I agree with her 1,000,000%. Stephanie in Italy, let's see what she's saying. The former Minister of Foreign Affairs here in Italy got an industrial tractor himself. And what? Wait a minute, you all don't understand this. The former Minister of Foreign Affairs in Italy got an industrial tractor himself and assisted in demolishing an illegal trailer park where gypsies lived in those like those in the shanty towns in the Bahamas. You all hear that?
So you see that?
Where was the UN and Amnesty International and everybody?
We listen to me. Okay. European Union have their own issues. Italy have a bunch of issues as such. And I wouldn't even try to compare the Bahamas with what goes on in Italy. I understand why Brexit has taken place and why Great Britain has moved out of the European Union and why they now doing what they're doing in the Caribbean now. But what I'm saying to you is that, yes, you might violate immigration laws, and I'm not defending illegal immigration. What I'm saying, you can't throw out human rights even when somebody has violated a law. Even inmates in the prison that I go to and work at have basic human rights that should not be violated.
And I agree with that. But here's what I'm saying. If you build a shanty town, break it down, it shouldn't be there. If you build illegally, so that's all I'm talking about here. And if you came into the country illegally, we grab you, we take you out.
Yeah, but there's a process.
Follow the process.
What happened is that the court intervened because see.
But that's my question.
But see, you can't blame the courts. You can't blame. It's our legislators who, like Penny said, if we have a problem with the laws that we have, then ask them to change the laws. But ask them to change the laws.
But answer this question.
And it's Minister Bannister say we have to stop being complacent. We have to ensure that the people who make decisions hear our voices, and we have to ensure that these things don't happen.
But that's the same thing I'm saying. But that's the same thing I'm saying.
We don't have to rise up. The people are already in place.
Listen to what I'm saying.
35 of them.
It's the same thing I'm saying. So understand this point. As you know, as we all know, to build an illegal structure is against the law, and they have a right to tear it down. You go add something onto your home without getting the necessary permit. Don't they have the right to come and destroy it?
Listen, but
don't they do it?
You still can go through the court. It doesn't matter. Listen to me.
Don't they come and destroy it?
Let me give you an example.
Answer the question.
No.
If you build something illegally, they won't come and destroy it.
They still have to go through the courts.
But I don't think so.
Let me give you an example, and we know the person. I won't call her name because I don't have a permission. She have a case where people are now in a home that she inherits.
Right.
And she has Swati take over a home, have a high electrical bill that she's trying to fight, and she has to go through the court to have these people removed.
That's the process.
If you are arguing a totally different issue here.
It is a court process.
No, that's a different issue. That's somebody home and all that. I ain't talking about that.
There is no court process to get the flipping illegal.
Exactly.
Flipping out.
No, there's a process. But if you're illegal,
even to deport them now,
you have to go to the
court. You have to go to the court, you have to charge them, and then you have to process them. I get that.
That's the court.
So what is this thing?
Because somebody challenged it.
Yeah, because you violate their rights. I get that part.
What are AG office doing? They just sitting down ordering crack cocaine. Like what happened? Because the thing is, how somebody can challenge it and now it's law.
But people are in place, 34 of them, the majority can change it.
Guys, listen, let's shift gears because we can stay on illegal immigration forever and a day. But is Adrian Gibson, who is chairman of the Water and Sewage Corporation, too young? Executive chairman of that. Is he too young to lead that corporation?
No.
It's a beleaguered corporation, for years. Ain't nothing new with water and sewage having issues and industrial matters. Yeah. But Adrian Gibson is now the executive chairman. Brave Davis, who is leader, the little boy, Brave Davis, who is leader of the Progressive Liberal Party, says, no. Big mistake. You need somebody more mature, somebody older, somebody I guess who could whatever.
A bridge to the future.
And who can lead water and sewage. Guys, what do you all make of that? Does his point that he raised have some merit?
No.
You know what's the funny thing about that comment? We have these 70-year-old politicians who making decisions or want to make decisions for people who are going to be living in this country years after they would have departed this earth.
But no,
and that's some scary stuff. You can't be making decisions for some of these so-called young people because they gotta live the future. They gotta live the future that you set, and so you gotta respect their youth.
But this is the same group of people who celebrate their founding father age of becoming leader.
At what age? Exactly.
36.
Exactly. He was a little boy.
He was a child. The great late Celinda Bennett
was a darky child.
He was a darky child, so. I'm sorry. But yes, so we have have to be careful with the words used. I mean, in the heat of the moment, I know Mr. Brave is trying to establish himself as this force, this big wave, making little splashes, but you got to be careful of the words you use. Saying it's childish behavior or childish actions is different from saying he's a child and it was disrespect.
Yeah, that's condescending, very condescending, and
So you think Adrian Gibson, who is a trained attorney and all the rest of that, should be highly insulted?
Yeah, he is, because even for that, someone who sits in that office, and you don't respect the man, you respect the position that the man holds. And I expect better from a fellow Toastmaster of Club 1600,
yes.
Brave Davis, for saying and he's a past president of Club 1600. And the whole thing is, was it Brave Davis who stated that?
Yes.
Right. And I expect better than him. But see, the problem is in our little country of ours, we sometimes forget that we are not a banana republic, and how our politicians at times carry on as though they are bananas in a banana republic.
And they despise our youth, and this is sometimes some of the problems. We look at somebody and recognize them for their age and think they have nothing to contribute. And when that happens, we dismiss them. And when we dismiss young people, we dismiss ideas of ingenious, we dismiss a lot of opportunities that could help curve the future. Because right now the world is about the future, and the future is in these youth.
The thing about it is, Mr. Adrian, who is on
the screen,
wonderful. He is performing, one of the top performing MPs in his constituency. He came to his campaign on different things for Long Island, and one by one you're seeing them done. And
you're saying he's doing very well in his constituency?
And I'm saying, from my observation, one of the top performing MP, Member of Parliament for his constituency, because you can quantify what is taking place in Long Island.
Yeah, and he and I sit down in the same barbershop and we speak about barbershop theology.
Yeah. You only go to visit.
Barbershop politics.
Hey guys, just
And so they have to be very careful in this silly season that comes upon us.
Silly season already?
Already. I mean, in 2 years, this is going to be a long 2 years if this continues, because
very,
there's
very long.
already so much learning, missteps and mistakes.
Just give us our piece of the pie as it relates to parole, rehabilitation, halfway homes.
There you go.
Those kind of things, and then
This is
quite
the
fine.
season.
Yes,
Kizzy says the old has our country jacked up right now.
Yeah.
Let them get their old age out of the way and bring in the new. Inga, I saw a comment from her. She said Adrian Gibson is too spiteful. Inga qualify rather that comment. Sarah says no. This is why young people like myself, an electrical engineer, want to return home and contribute to the development of an infrastructure of our country, but know that we will be stagnant. That's why Sarah, whose name suggests that she already married foreign. You know the Bahamas say foreign. Sarah says she ain't coming back here before. So here it is. Kizzy made a comment. Yes. Kevin says that by acting like a child for true, y'all. Listen to him in Parliament today. Now he wants to meet with every department now. He could have. I saw some sentiments that saying that for he is brave enough right now to, no pun intended, the Adrian is brave enough right now to really tackle the issues that have plagued water and sewage for decades. This is what I'm hearing.
And he's focused, and everybody must take note, they're calling for the resignation of Mr. Gibson as the executive chairman. Mr. Gibson serves at the pleasure of the Prime Minister, so you can call as you may. I believe the person who appointed him is pleased with what he's doing, and he is dealing with years. Legacy is the word that we use. Legacy of irresponsibility concerning and mismanagement and misappropriation, and I'm going to put allegedly there, in water and sewage. And so as the chairman of water and sewage, he has great responsibility, and the persons who put him in place obviously are pleased with the work that he's doing, because I've heard many times in the House Assembly he's commended for the work he's doing.
Stephanie says in Italy, the top political leaders are all quite young, and youth is the way to go. I said that a good mix is always wonderful, but don't despise youth. Exactly. Nashika Dean says, these men were around from the time I was a child, almost 40 years now. And this country is still backwards. They have no vision.
And then this is a party that is, Mr. Brave is saying that he's rebranding. I see a lot of youthful faces. So what is your regard for them? Are they children? And why should we entrust the children that you want to bring and offer to us?
Chester, I wonder that's why Chester is in the back and not in the front. You know, maybe Brave should sit back and let Chester run things. I mean, I think it's an opportunity in youth. You know, I think there's great opportunity in the youth that is being provided. Be a consultant. You guys have contributed. Go to the country. It's now time to relax. Allow some young person to come to the fore. I mean, you can't put joy in the one bottle and say it's joy. No. We got to be smart about this thing. We got to be smart.
Oh, you sound like a politician.
Yeah. So listen,
he's a practicing politician.
Guys, what do we think? Glenroy mentioned Chester Cooper. Chester says, listen, once the PLP is elected, what they plan on doing is once and for all rescuing the Grand Bahama economy.
Let me tell you something. So Lyndon Pinland, when he designed Freeport was designed as an industrial city to hold more than 1.5 million people. That plan never followed through.
Right.
It's good to talk political rhetoric about rescuing an economy. Administration after administration did not follow the plan. So all they did was continue to extend the Hawksbill Creek Agreement and so forth. And they never developed a vision for Grand Bahama as it relates to the entire country. And as a result, Grand Bahama has seen its decline with every disaster that's hit it.
Yeah. And Mr. Cooper suggesting that they will rescue Grand Bahama. Rescue it with what? You can't intend to rescue it with the same old players that were in place.
Or even the same old strategy.
Say something.
I am tired of politicians saying, we're going to do this, we're going to do that.
How?
Without even rolling out what's the vision and how we're going to get the action plan to get to that.
Because whether we agree or not, every effort has been made by this administration to bring relief to Grand Bahama. Whether they panned out or not, we cannot say in all honesty that the focus has not been on Grand Bahama. It's just somehow things are not sticking or easily achieved when it comes to Grand Bahama.
Remember, a previous show we had, we were saying Grand Bahama needs to be an industrial, like maximize that. Let that be sort of the industrial hub of the Bahamas and the region. And we were not for that because the tourism dollar is a quick turnover and puts fast money into the economy. And mind you, there's a place for that, but I think this industrial sort of idea should be further explored.
We just need to own this tourism market and stop allowing ourselves to be out there where a majority of the stakeholders come in and have complete ownership. We need a 40% stake in these established businesses. And we need to ensure that happens right away to make sure that a large amount of the profit comes and stays in this country. A good percentage still goes out of the country. And when politicians are on both sides, FNM and PLP, who've been in the political arena for the last 30, 40 years, when they start to say, we will do, they should have said, we should have done, or we could not have done, or we can't do, or we want to do. But they can't right now talk about what they will do because the truth is, you've been in power and you had the opportunity, but you did nothing. So really and truly, those politicians who've been in the political arena for the last 30, 40 years need to be silenced.
And what would they do differently that is being done? What resources that they would have? How would they finance whatever they plan on doing? The hotel, Grand Ukiah, was purchased. All with making Grand Bahamians better. They were given a reset payment, everything was intending to make Grand Bahamians better. So I would like to hear more from Mr. Cooper on how would you rescue Grand Bahama and make life better for Grand Bahamians, acknowledging the times and difficulties that island is facing, which is accumulation over the years.
Guys, listen, our time is winding down, and I want to pose in the next 3 minutes this question. Is the Bahamas ready to move forward from the two major parties?
My personal view is we will always have the FNM and the PLP entrenched in our political arena because what happens is
like the Saxon, but like the Valley and the Saxon.
Yeah, because longevity and people moving on will just be replaced. They will always be replenished by new blood and new individuals. The ideals of those parties may be strong. It's just the presenters at each time. And we have to face that reality.
Sorry.
Go.
I don't believe that there's anything wrong with having the two parties. We just need new mindset. We need new vision. We need, despite the age, we need to give younger persons opportunity to take this country forward. I think instead of the parties being outgrown, I think individuals who lead the party, their approach to governance has been outgrown. And I'm thinking it is saddening to see when young people come to the forefront in these parties and adapt or show for the same style of approaching Bahamians and approaching politics. We need a different mindset.
You know what I believe, Shenique? Just like J.R. Sweeten is not here, Johnson's is not here, Keats is not here, and a lot of, even the Stop and Shop is not here. Things change as time goes on. And as we move into this new decade, we will see a paradigm shift in the way we as a people think. And I don't think that going forward in the next decade, we're only going to rely on the two major political parties. I think another party is going to rise up. That is going to bear the whole mindset of the entire Bahamian people.
Nashishka Dean says the members of parliament in Grand Bahama are doing a great job, the younger ones, but the heads of these parties have to go both. I see all of your comments, guys. The show is over. I'll tell you this. What I will say on that is obviously we see how it pans out. This, I know certainly in the next 2 years will be wild, and in terms of different political parties coming at you and appearing on various shows and putting their sort of stump speeches out there. It's up to you just to kind of follow and see, see what your thoughts are and where you fit, etc. But I thank you all so much. We will be back on Wednesday. Remember that on Wednesday. It's another Hot Topics. Also, I'm starting to look at Friday and what's happening, but a number of people are asking, Shenique, what's going on? I want you all to keep this in mind. Just continue following, continue and sharing. Man, share this video, y'all. Share this video. Let's get this video out there. Let's get this show, not the video. Let's get today's show totally out there. I think it was a great show. But let's see what God has in store.
Yes.
For where this conversation platform goes and how big it gets and exactly what we do after that, right? And so I'm really excited about that. And so thank you all so much, all of the key players. Thank you. Share the video, Kevin and Dwayne and Manishka, Albert, Stephanie, and Jethro, Kizzy. Thank you all so much. In fact, let me read Kizzy's comment. Kizzy says, this show is amazing. Shenique, I see nothing but big things happening. You have my support always, my sister. So proud of the amazing work you are doing. And guys, let's like and share and have watch parties when the show is on. I endorse that message. That's been going on in 2022. That right there. Come here really quickly, Cara, just right in front here and say hello to everybody before you end the video. So maybe this is a good space to be. No, Cara, that's the middle. That's break it down for a second. Yeah, sort of right there. Just that. There's Cara Ellis, guys. Yeah, you. Very brilliant, and so Cara, thank you very, very much. And so, guys, once again, thank you so much for tuning in on a Monday, right here on Facebook. And hey, let's do this. Let's do this. So many others are doing incredible, wonderful international shows and getting great messages out there on Facebook on this platform. We're using this for now, and we're seeing exactly where it goes from here. But thank you all. Have a blessed evening, and see you on Wednesday.